Hello, Naked Parent Nation, and welcome to today's episode of the Naked Parent Podcast. My name's Chad Ratliff, and I'm your host. On today's show, we are going to be talking about enjoying your time with your children, and I'm looking forward to introducing you to our guest. But before doing so, we will state Naked Parent Nation's preamble, which is that we are a worldwide community of parents raising children with all kinds of needs. We come together to share our naked truth, support our fellow parents, and inspire the inner growth that each of us needs to build the life and family of our dreams. For the parents that are struggling, we want you to know that we will love you until you can love yourself. For your children, we pray and send power from our collective group. As we come to understand our divine nature, we realize that there's no need to feel sorry for ourselves, be angry, or feel lack. We come to understand that our feelings of limitation and separation are only in our minds. Through self-realization, we expand our consciousness so that the challenges that perplex us today dissipate one by one until we're able to see and experience gratitude and beauty in everything just as it is. We have the power to create any kind of life we want for ourselves and our families. We do this by living in the naked present moment, one day at a time. Esther and Jerry Hicks call it the science of deliberation. We call it the answer to all of our prayers. So let's continue our journey as individuals and parents with a short breathing exercise and meditation before we get to today's show. So, as usual, we recommend having good posture and a straight spine. And we'll take a few deep breaths. And when we breathe in, we'll tighten our fist and clench our muscles. And when we exhale, we will let go and relax. So deep breath in and clench your fists. Hold your breath. And exhale and relax. Deep breath in and clench your fists and all your muscles. Hold your breath. And exhale and relax. One more time. Deep breath in and clench your muscles. Hold your breath. And exhale. And then one more time, just deep breath in without clenching your muscles. And exhale. And feel that peace. If you close your eyes, you can raise your gaze to the space between your eyebrows. And just find that peaceful place. While you sit there, I want to read a thought for you. What we think about expands. If our thoughts are focused primarily on our problems and obstacles and shortcomings, those things expand and they become even greater. The more we turn our thoughts to what we want to be and have in our lives, the more we let ourselves imagine living the life of our dreams, the more things expand in our lives. Once our intentions become solid, solutions to problems become obvious, or else what were formerly problems simply don't matter anymore and become irrelevant. So while you sit there, hopefully relaxed, with your spine straight, forget about your breath, and I'm going to read this one more time. What we think about expands. If our thoughts are focused primarily on our problems and obstacles and shortcomings, those things expand and become even greater. The more we turn our thoughts to what we want to be and to have in our lives, the more we let ourselves imagine living the life of our dreams, the more those things expand in our lives. Once our intentions become solid solutions to problems, once our intentions become solid, solutions to problems become obvious. Or else, what were formerly problems simply don't matter anymore and become irrelevant. So just meditate on that for a moment. I hope you were able to find a peaceful moment to get away from the challenges that life brings us or that we see as challenges in our lives. And I'm excited to introduce y'all to Shavonda Oliver, who's with us today. Welcome to the show, Shavonda.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to hear your story. But before getting in depth on your story, I'd like the listeners in Naked Parent Nation to know a little bit about Shavonda. She's the mother of an 8-year-old boy and a 1-year-old girl, and is very busy. She's on her toes. Her son is autistic, and before she knew what that was, she knew she couldn't be the only one going through something like this, which led her to go back to get her bachelor's of science in human services. And now her career path is as a behavioral health intervention specialist. So again, welcome to the show. Can you tell us a little bit more about your professional life and what that is that you do?
I work for a company called Heart and Solutions, and the BHIS program is for children who struggle with coping skills, anger management, communication, listening skills, anxiety, depression. We go into their homes and we provide counseling for the child. It's a free program to children on the Title IX, which is like the Medicaid or whatever it is in your state. But we see children anywhere from 14 to 18. For Heart and Solutions, there is a therapy side as well. So we do have therapists available if you need extra services. But before this job, I had never even heard of this. And so to get the opportunity to do something that I've been wanting to do is extraordinary. Wow. And I'm very happy to be a part of it.
Sounds like an amazing organization. That's so cool. Getting your bachelor's isn't that's not like a weekend decision. So you obviously put in a lot of effort to get to where you are today.
I did. Even before picking where I wanted to go, I did so much research trying to figure out what career was going to benefit me the most. And when I was looking through, human services, it's such a broad field. Like if I don't like doing this, I can switch to something else and won't have to go back to school. So that was like really the deciding factor.
And how much of your personal home life influenced your career choice?
Oh my God, so much. Okay. Like when my son was born, I knew he was like behind on certain milestones, and I just wasn't being heard with the doctors. They just kept saying, oh, he'll get over, he'll, push through, or he's just a little behind, or this, that. And I'm just like, in my mind, there has to be someone else or something else that can help me. And so when going through that, I'm like, I could totally do this. I could totally be that person to help another family out. So that played a factor in my career as well.
Oh, that's awesome. So you said early you noticed, how early did you notice?
6 months.
Okay.
I was like, I pay attention to detail, and I just knew. I'm like, okay, he should be doing this. And I've been around kids my whole life, so I've seen different age groups of kids, and I see that this is where they are, and my son's not there. And I just knew. I'm like, okay, he's not doing this at 6 months or 8 months or a year. Okay, now he's not talking. All right, well, something's got to give.
And how did you handle those early details that you were noticed? How did you handle that in the early going?
I was a little clueless, to be honest. Being a first-time mom, you got so much thrown at you already that I think a lot of people play on that. Like, oh, because you're a first-time mom, you're so worried and you're so anxious about this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, yeah, I am. I'm a first-time mom. But when I start noticing, I'm like, okay, I just need to figure out my next step from here. I know there's something wrong or not right. What is my next step from here? So that's how I like step by step by step. You can't fix everything in one night,
Right.
but choosing something and then figuring out a solution for that and then moving on to the next, that it's a game changer.
It sounds like you had a very you're very grounded in your approach to something pretty spectacular that you couldn't have been anticipating.
Yeah.
Most people's stories are more like mine, we're like divorce, drugs, anger, chaos ensues, depression. And it sounds like you were able to kind of take it in stride. Does that fit?
Yeah, that's exactly how. Yeah. Well, so
how do you credit yourself to that? Can you tell us what about you allowed you to be so practical and reasonable?
I think I've always been a practical, reasonable person.
Okay.
But I feel like one of my goals in life was to become a mother. And so when I set a goal for myself, I have to see it all the way through, whether it's motherhood, work, relationship. That's just that's just who I am. And so when I became a mother, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be the best mom ever. You can't be the best mom ever, but I'm going to at least try.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I don't miss a beat.
Aw, I love that. Your kids are so lucky. And then what were some of the challenges like at 1, 2, 3 years old? What was like a challenging day in your household? How did the unique needs of your child play out on a difficult day?
My son, he had still has a lot of sensory issues, and I had no idea what that was. I just knew he didn't like X, Y, and Z. But once figuring out what those were, you can prevent those. An example would be like he didn't like the feel of a lot of things using his hands. So I try to not allow him to touch a lot of things because it would result in a meltdown. Or he wasn't real sensitive to sound, but some sounds he didn't like at all. So I have headphones. I would have headphones for that. Food, that's a whole different other ball game. I didn't know sensories. I mean, I did know with the mouth, obviously, but like food, it was just like he could tell right away if you added something or subtracted something or something changed in it. It resulted in a meltdown. And making sure they have a like a set schedule. Like if we use his favorite is Velveeta mac and cheese, he instantly knew that they changed the whole milk to 2%. Like instantly, he didn't want it anymore. That wasn't anything. He's like, Mom, this is gross. I don't want it. So making sure that he had everything he needed so that we wouldn't result in a meltdown. It's life-changing.
Yeah, when you find those things, it is life-changing. That's pretty amazing. How was diagnosis an issue for you to get a diagnosis?
It was.
Journey?
So when I first suggested it to his family doctor, she just kind of brushed it off. And even when I mentioned, hey, he's not saying as many words as he should be, she just like, give him time. At this point, I think you're just you're a little anxious, and I'm like, no, he's 3. He should be saying more words than he is. And he had like some babbling vocabulary, but he sneak in like maybe 1 or 2 actual words that you could understand. And he actually didn't start talking until he was 5.
Okay.
So I didn't actually get a autistic diagnosis until this year, and he's 8.
Wow.
So it was having to go outside of the family doctor, going through a different agency in order to get help. It was difficult.
Stressful.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. There has to. Does your organization currently have anything to do with diagnosis or?
No. So the therapists, they are able to diagnose, like, but the BHIS providers, which is what I am, we don't actually diagnose anything.
But your organization has the capability to do that?
Yes.
I feel like there has to be some better solutions. I mean, the percentage of people that come on this show that have a stressful journey to diagnosis is, I mean, it's 9 point something out of 10 people have that journey, and there has to be a better way.
I was thinking that same thing. I had to like Google it. I had to Google some agencies that help with diagnosing, and the agency that I used was Caravel Autism Health, and they had literally just set up an office here. So they were brand new, just as well as I was looking for an agency, and they were very helpful from start to end. If they are in your state, city, I would recommend them. I know there's another agency. I don't remember the name, but when I rolled past it, I was like, oh, there's another one. So, I mean, there are more agencies that deal with just autism that might be able to help. But other than that, I had no idea.
Well, I'm glad you finally found it, and I'm glad that there's solutions that are popping up. Because I believe that there's a lot of us out there that want to support our fellow parents on this journey, and the fight that so many have to go through to just get started trying to provide their child with the support and care that they need. It just feels like we all want something better, so we need to create it. So I'm glad things are popping up, and I'm glad you gave us a couple options. So did you decide to go the traditional school route with your child, or what's your take on that?
He is in public school, yes. He did have an IP plan. He has since graduated from that, but he does have a 504 plan in place, which that was an issue too as well, getting that set in place. I had requested one in the beginning of the year and I just got it last month. So, and also he does like outside services like speech. We've done occupational therapy. We've also done an eating therapy as well. We've also done physical therapy, and those all really helped with getting him where he is now. So I think having all of those services helped him in school as well.
Awesome. What does the eating therapy help?
Oh my goodness. I had no idea what it even was. Basically, a session would be like they'd put a plate of food in front of him, just like small portions of something. And their objective was just to even get him to touch it. The goal was not to taste it at all. It was for him to touch, smell, see. If he did try it, that was a plus, but it would help him be able to experience different textures and help him if he were to have a meltdown in the eating session because of the texture. And we did that for 9 months. So he graduated from that once he could pick it up, smell it, and put it in his mouth without anyone asking him or having a meltdown. And he did that a few times, and he graduated from eating therapy, awesome. Which I had no idea was a thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And are you like piecing these things together one by one, or is there an organization that kind of supports families to help you get some of these different services?
So I had started speech first because he couldn't talk, and all of the services went through their organization. So it was like Genesis Pediatric Therapy. So all of his therapy was done through there, and his speech therapist was a huge help. So when she'd notice something, she'd be like, "Hey, I seen this, I seen that." And I'm like, "Me too. I thought I was the only one that noticed it." And so she'd be like, "Well, I work with so-and-so and they worked with that." And I'm like, "Okay, well, sign us up." So that's how we got to do all those different therapies.
So you're just on it. That's awesome. And then somewhere along the way, you got pregnant, and
oh yeah,
and a couple years ago.
Yep, I had her in 2020.
And how is the integration of a new child into your busy life?
She's such a mama's girl. So it has threw me for a loop. My son, he liked to try to be on his own and do things on his own. So he didn't necessarily need me as much. But my daughter, she's just at the hip. But their relationship is way better than I expected. Awesome. He doesn't really know his own strength. And so, that plays a factor. He thinks that she is, the same size as him. And he does get a little rough, and we have to remind him, hey, we have to be a little bit more careful. She's littler, but other than that, he has been a phenomenal big brother.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, like way, way, way better than I expected him to be.
That's so cool. And how's she doing?
Oh, she loves him.
She loves him.
Um, she loves him to death. It's like I had so many experiences with him with, milestones, and she is just like knocking these milestones down. I
Wow.
can't keep up with her.
So that had to be a, is a relief the right word to?
I mean, I get, yes. Um, it was definitely like, like mind blowing. I mean, I was prepared for anything, but I just like, oh, okay, you can do that now. Oh my goodness, you're doing that now. Slow down.
That's funny. Well, um, so is she hitting like what you would say are normal milestones or exceeding
I,
milestones? Like, or
I, th-
is
I think a little bit of both. Like, I mean, she will be 2 in July, and um, she's talking so well, like, well. Like you're like, okay, is she really
yeah,
is she really one? Like she'll have a whole conversation with you using actual words, and she's just so smart. She is
wow,
a very, very, very good problem solver. Like they really need to use her for testing out stuff for babies because she figures it out so quickly.
wow,
Nothing works. Gates, not anything. Not the locks for the cabinet. She figures it all out so
wow,
quickly.
wow. Well, they say that no two children are the same. It sounds
No,
like your household is no exception to that rule.
no, not at all.
That's amazing. You said, was it your favorite quote that even gold has to be put through fire to cast out its impurities?
Yes,
I
I
love
love
that.
that quote.
I love
Yeah, my sister actually, I was having a bad day, and she said that to me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to get that on the wall somewhere. Like, I wasn't expecting it to hear it, and then once I did, I'm just like, huh, okay, yes, right. Everyone loves gold,
yeah,
but you have to put it through fire in order to make it beautiful, right?
yeah, yeah. That's amazing. Um, so we do like just to get to know more of your thoughts and experiences. Lightning round of questions where you can give kind of like one word to one. You can give any kind of answer you want, but just one word to one sentence answers. Are you up for it?
Yeah.
All right. What's the best advice you've received?
Um, it takes a village to raise a child, so don't be afraid to ask what you want.
Nice. What online course topic would you sign up for today if it was available?
Ooh, you know what? I just did a mental health first aid training last week, and that was really helpful. And I just signed up for it through my job. It was online, so I, that.
Ah, nice. Do you have a top resource or recommendation to share with other parents?
Not per se. Like seriously, Google is my best friend. I Google everything. You can find any and everything through Google as long as you know what you're looking for.
It's amazing. It really is amazing. It's kind of mind-boggling. What's the next thing on your list that you want to add for your individual well-being?
Uh, maybe make a change in at least one person's life.
Aw, that's sweet. What's one thing you think would improve your life if you did it or had it?
Therapy/counseling. It really does change a lot of things. I think there are a lot of stigmatisms about them, but it really did change a lot for me.
Me too. Do you have a favorite product that you use for yourself or your child or family that you just love and couldn't live without?
My son's weighted blanket. He had trouble sleeping. Oh my God, that thing does wonders.
Awesome. Awesome. I've really enjoyed our conversation. Just thinking of the parents that are out there listening. Do you have any thoughts from what we've spoken about, or just thoughts that you can leave us with?
I'd say be the best advocate for your child. I mean, only you can make your child's life better. If don't listen to anybody. Like, I know it's hard and it can be difficult to get to where you need to be, but as long as you're advocating for your child, you'll get there.
I love that. I love that. I appreciate you being on the show. You've inspired me to be a better parent today, and I thank you for that. And I hope you stay a friend of the show. And I'd love to touch base down the road and hear how your family and your journey is continuing if you're up for it.
Oh, for sure. I would love
Uh,
to.
I wish you all and your family a wonderful day and continue this journey. And your kids are lucky to have such an amazing mom. I can tell.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Okay. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye bye.